Mysterious humanoid footprints were found deep underground where humans shouldn't be able to live. A cave that is so deep we still have no idea how far down it actually goes.
You can see 336 meters on the first poster.
And divers who have vanished deep underground without a trace. These are just 3 of the 15 unsolved mysteries of the world's deepest caves. Number 15. The depths of the Krubera Cave. Hidden deep in the Arabica Massif, Georgia, is one of the largest caves in the world. This is the Krubera Cave, an underground chamber so massive that the Statue of Liberty would conveniently sit in it without touching the ceiling. To get to this spectacular site, you must first travel through the steep Gagra Range. The terrain is extremely challenging, filled with tricky ascents and descents through rough and tough landscapes. This is one of the reasons the cave has remained relatively unexplored for decades. But that's not all. Unlike most other massive caves, Krubera doesn't have a gigantic entrance. Instead, there are 6 small holes through which explorers can access the breathtaking depths of the cave. On the inside, the cave is filled with some of the most intense geological formations in the world. Dramatic pits, deep chasms, and massive tunnels make Krubera one of the most spectacular caves ever found. At about 7,215 feet deep, it's also the second deepest cave in the world. Because of the structure, the only way down is by dangling off a rope. However, exploring the cave is also incredibly difficult and extremely risky. The chambers get completely flooded with water most of the time, and on certain occasions, explorers have had to carve through rocks just to continue their journey. Exploring the Krubera isn't for the faint of heart, because sometimes these adventurers can get stuck for 2 straight weeks before making it back to the surface. But for those brave enough to make the trip, the cave is a treasure trove. While searching for life forms within the depths of the Earth, a team of European researchers took a trip to Krubera. There they found what could be the world's deepest dwelling land animal, known as Plutomurus ortobalaganensis. This strange creature had no eyes, no wings, and lived about 6,000 feet below the ground. However, since the largest portions of the cave remain unexplored, no one really knows what other mysterious creature might be hiding within those dark depths. Due to the difficulty of navigating through the cave, most of its secrets remain locked away from explorers. Number 14. Mysterious humanoid footprints. Over 36,000 years ago, a group of 6 or 7 individuals walked through the Sir Izbuk cave in Romania. Today, scientists still haven't figured out how they managed to reach the end of the cave. It was back in 1965 when these footprints were first discovered, all 400 of them. At the time, researchers believed that the footprints belonged to a man, woman, and child. Further analysis also suggested that the path was likely made just 10,000 to 15,000 years ago. But then, the researchers stumbled upon a new discovery that changed everything. Just below these footprints, they found 2 cave bear fossils. Just like the human footprints, no one could also explain how these ancient bears found their way into the cave. However, radiocarbon dating revealed that the bear fossils were actually older than expected. This meant that the footprints were made some 36,500 years ago. As of today, only 51 of the original 400 footprints remain. The rest have been damaged by cave explorers over time. But by analyzing the remaining hollows, it appears these early humans came into the cave to seek shelter from flood. According to scientists, these footprints serve as the earliest known evidence of human existence in Northern Europe. In some cases, the footprints also show details of the heel, arch, and even toes, all of which marked the modern shoes of up to UK size 8. This means that the early humans looked just like us, but with smaller brains. However, despite the amount of information discovered about these early humans, there's still so much we haven't figured out. Where did they come from? And how did they climb through the rugged cave without modern equipment? These mysteries remain unsolved till today. Number 13. The cave explorer who completely disappeared. In November of 2014, a cave explorer named Kenny Veach vanished from the face of the Earth. His body was never found, and it's still unclear whether he's dead or alive. This strange episode began when he encountered a strange cave in the Mojave Desert. Located in the southwestern part of the United States, the Mojave Desert is a brutal and terrifying landscape. The conditions are extremely harsh, and temperatures can get dangerously high. However, Veach didn't mind these conditions. As a seasoned explorer, he prided himself on going to the most extreme places in America, especially deserts. He also believed that no matter how dangerous the journey was, he would always find his way back. But one day, his luck ran out. After quitting his job to dedicate more time to his adventures, Veach started a YouTube channel to document his journeys. However, in June of 2014, he shared a story that kickstarted the beginning of the end. Under one of the comments on his YouTube video, Veach left a comment that read, "That ain't nothing. I am a long-distance hiker. One time, during one of my hikes out by Nellis Air Force Base, I found a hidden cave." He also revealed that the cave's entrance was shaped like the letter M. But as he began to enter the cave, Veach claimed that his body began to vibrate. The closer he got to the entrance, the worse the vibration became, so he got scared and ran straight out of there. However, many of his followers didn't believe him. Since he never documented the trip to the M cave, there was no proof to back up his story. So he did what any brave explorer would do. He picked up his 9mm handgun and a video camera and went back to the cave. When he returned to the spot, he began uploading videos of his excursion to the channel. In the video, Veach was quite enthusiastic about the trip and looked genuinely excited. He documented the wildlife, the environment, and even a hoard of pine nuts he found. At nightfall, he slept beside an abandoned mine. But he never found the cave this second time. No matter how hard he looked, the cave seemed to have vanished. After uploading the video, Veach received criticism from his subscribers who believed he had faked the story. They wanted actual proof of the M cave, and many encouraged him to go back one more time. However, there was one comment that sent chills down his spine. It read, "No. Do not go back there. If you find that cave entrance, don't go in. You won't get out." The identity of this person remains unknown, but their prediction was spot on. After Veach took a trip back to the Sheep Mountain area on November 10th, 2014. The plan was to travel for a few days. At least that was what he told his family. But when he failed to return home on the third day, his girlfriend Sherian Pilgrim started to panic. She quickly reported to the police, who immediately declared him missing. The whole area was searched both from the ground and the skies, but no sign of Veach was ever found. Search and rescue officers would later report that they found his cell phone next to an abandoned mine shaft, where he filmed part of the M cave. But apart from his phone and vehicle, no other trace of the YouTuber was discovered. Some said he entered the cave and fell to his death. Others claimed he took his own life, hoping that his body would never be found. But some believe he was murdered after discovering secrets no one was meant to see. In death, Veach left many unsolved riddles, all linked to a cave no one has been brave enough to enter since then. Number 12. The uncharted passages of the Veryovkina Cave. On the eastern coast of the Black Sea lies the deepest cave in the entire world. At about 7,293 feet deep, the Veryovkina Cave is a wonder to behold. But the journey into this hole in the earth wasn't an easy feat. It took 50 years and about 30 expeditions for Russian explorers to finally reach the bottom of the cave in 2018. But there might be even more to be discovered within this hole in the earth. At the entrance, there is an opening, measuring 10 by 13 feet. Compared to the massive space on the inside, this opening is quite small and barely noticeable. For both trained and untrained cavers, Veryovkina is a dangerous death trap. Since the early days of its exploration, the cave has claimed many lives, while also leaving dozens of people with life-threatening injuries. Inside the cave, you will find endless craggy passageways, piercing deeper into the limestone of Earth's crust. The first time anyone tried to enter the cave was in 1968, reaching a depth of 377 feet. It was these first divers, who also gave Veryovnica its official name, C-115. This represented the fact that they were only able to go as far as 115 meters. While it may seem like a small number, that's the size of the Empire State Building. And that was only 5% of the Veryovkina's depth. Several new expeditions took place within the cave after this, all reaching different depths at different times. In 1983, explorers managed to reach 393 feet. Then by 1986, they got to about 4,734 feet. By 2016, 4,281 feet had been explored. Then in February 2017, cave divers reached 6,010 feet. In August 2017, explorers almost got to the bottom of the cave, reaching 7,231 feet. Then finally, in 2018, the full depth was revealed. But even though we know how deep Veryovkina goes, there's still so much to discover about the cave. There are horizontal sections, parts filled with water, and massive underground chambers the size of 8 soccer fields. There are also sections filled with rare species of scorpions, shrimps, centipedes, and more, the likes of which cannot be found anywhere else in the world. As captivating as Veryovkina is, though, it's also extremely dangerous. Many brave souls have been lost within the cave, and others have barely made it out with their lives. Because of this, many parts of the cave remain unexplored, leaving us wondering what could be hidden within those chambers. Number 11. Strange magnetic anomalies. In the rough terrains of Denmark, there is a limestone mine with a history that dates back to the late 1800s. The Monsted Kalkgruber mine isn't just a natural monument, but a vital part of the Danish cultural heritage. Between 1874 and 1980, the cave was used extensively for lime mining. Then later, the locals began storing their cheese within its walls. Inside, you will find a massive underground landscape, measuring over 60 kilometers. While some sections of the cave are as large as cathedrals, others are extremely narrow. Further down the cavern, you will find a chamber known as the Non-Boss Cave, where miners have worked since 1840. Deeper down the path, you will also find 2 extremely large lakes, which are some of the biggest underground lakes ever found. During winter, the limestone cave is also inhabited by about 18,000 bats. This is recognized as one of the largest populations of bats in all of Europe. For those who have ventured into this deep hole, though, there is another reason why the Monsted Kalkgruber is so intriguing. You see, many explorers have reported strange magnetic anomalies inside the cave, which sometimes mess with the compass and other electronic devices. Scientists believe that this phenomenon is caused by the presence of minerals in the rocks. Some say it's due to void spaces, and others claim that it's all caused by lightning strikes. While it's not unusual to experience magnetic anomalies when you're thousands of feet underground, the Monster Kalkgruber case seems quite peculiar. Today, the cave has been transformed into a cultural site, with a museum dedicated to showcasing Denmark's history. But there's still something eerie about the atmosphere within the depths that may never be explained by science. Number 10. The tragedy of the Gouffre Bergère. Between 1953 and 1963, the Gouffre Bergère was considered the deepest cave in the world. With a depth of about 3,681 feet, it's about half the size of the record holder today. But even though it's not as deep as many, explorers believe it's probably one of the most dangerous caves in the world. The Gouffre Bergère was first discovered on May 24, 1953, by 4 adventurers: Joseph Berger, who the cave was named after, Georges Bouvet, Ruiz de Arcote, and Marc Jouffre. Since then, the Gouffre Bergère has claimed 6 lives, 2 of which died in July 1996. The story began on the 6th of July, when 6 experienced cavers traveled to the Gouffre Bergère for a routine expedition. William, Nicola, Pivo, Mohar, Kucha, and Istvan all headed out in high spirits. All 6 entered the cave, but only 4 made it out alive. The weather was quite fine when they left camp, but by the time they got to the cave, the clouds had become dark with rain. For the next 24 hours, the whole area was battered by heavy rainfall. This resulted in one of the worst floods ever recorded in the region. After the party failed to surface by the second day, a rescue operation was launched to find them. It would later be revealed that the flood started to catch up with them while they were at the bottom of the cave. To find their way out, they decided to split into 2 groups of 3. One group headed out, while the rest collected the gear. But at about 800 meters down the cave, tragedy struck. Nicola's jammer suddenly held her back, leading to an accident that proved to be fatal. William and Prevost attempted to help her, but they couldn't, so they had to keep climbing to escape the water. The rest of the crew would eventually make it out and be rescued, except for Istvan, who also perished within the cave. While Nicola's death was well recorded, Istvan's cause of death remains a mystery till today. No one knows what really happened within the cave that took his life, but whatever it was, it has continued to claim lives since then, making the Gouffre Berger one of the most terrifying adventures even for professional cave divers. Number 9. Ancient Rituals and Artifacts. The Aktun Tunichil Muknal Cave in Belize is known by many names. The locals simply call it ATM. But for most people, the Cave of the Crystal Sepulchre might be a more accurate description. Located near San Ignacio Cayo district, this Mayan archaeological site is famous for its ancient artifacts, ceramics, and stoneware. The Crystal Maiden in its name, however, refers to its more sinister history as a temple where humans were sacrificed. You see, when archaeologists first looked within this cave, they found the skeleton of a 17-year-old boy. By all indications, it appears that he may have been sacrificed to the gods. His bones had calcified over the years, taking on this sparkling, crystallized appearance. According to researchers, the victim was likely clubbed to death between 250 AD to 909 AD, since this was the period when human activity was recorded within the cave. Historians also believe he was likely sacrificed to appease the gods who controlled agriculture and rain. Looking into the rest of the cave, archaeologists also found the skeleton of 7 adults and 7 children. Their bones had become cemented to the floors, and their history wiped away from the face of the earth. Many of the artifacts have also become cemented to the floor, in addition to broken altars scattered around the cave. This proves beyond reasonable doubt that human sacrifice was a vital part of the Mayan civilization in their glory days. Number 8. Unmapped underground rivers. Since the Sistema Huautla was first discovered in 1965, the cave system has attracted cave enthusiasts from all over Mexico and beyond. It's been named the best-looking cave in the world many times. But there is a part of this natural wonder that has remained a mystery for decades. Taking a dive inside this cave, you will find endless passages that stretch for miles. Waterfalls up to 60 stories high, and a 300-foot-high chamber known as Aphrodite Hall. But it's the underground lakes that really catch the eye. Generally, these lakes are referred to as sumps, and they can sometimes be as wide as 300 feet. For more explorers, coming across a sump usually marks the end of the road. The waters are quite dangerous, and no one knows the source, or how long it stretches for. Some explorers have also lost their lives within this cave, including Ian Rowland, who drowned during an expedition in 1994. But overall, the cave has remained a fan favorite among adventurers. Many have attempted to trace the origin of the waters, but no one has ever found it. Maps have been drawn, and hundreds of cavers have tried to catch a glimpse of the end. But till today, the secrets of the underground lake remain locked away miles deep within the earth. Number 7. The unknown depths of Son Doong. Deep in the heart of Vietnam lies the Son Doong Cave, a massive hole considered to be the largest cave in the world based on volume. The cave was first discovered in 1990 by Ho Khan, a Phong Nha jungle man. Since then, it has been surveyed, explored, and studied by thousands of researchers. Imagine a hole in the ground where you can easily fly a Boeing 747. That's how big the Son Doong Cave is. But that's not all. It also features many complex and giant stalactites, which can sometimes be as tall as 262 feet. What's more, There's a whole rainforest inside this cave, with its own ecosystem, and a mysterious underground river. Although about 1,000 people visit the cave every year, no cave diver has ever seen the end of this river, so its true length remains unknown. Sondung is also home to a lot of endemic species that cannot be found anywhere else in the world. In addition, the ceiling forms a big opening on the outside, giving room for sunbeams to shine into the cave. It's like a scene straight from a movie. However, only a small portion of the cave has been explored as of today. With more hidden passages and unseen compartments, you can only imagine what ancient treasures still lay undiscovered within the cave. Number 6. The Tragedy of Ellison Cave. On February 12, 2011, 10 students from the University of Florida took a trip to the Ellison Cave in Georgia, but only 8 of them came out alive. Grant Lockenbach, one of the victims, was just about to turn 21 at the time. He and his friends had planned the trip to celebrate his coming birthday, but after rappelling down to 150 feet, Lockenbach and another friend named Michael Peary got entangled in the rope. Within less than an hour, they became drenched in the frigid water. Hypothermia set in not long after, and they both died within the cave. From the onset, the whole trip had started in the worst way possible. Just before descending, the group lost a bag and rope, which fell over the edge and rolled down the underground cliff. Lockenbach then took the secondary rope and began descending down the cave to retrieve the bag. When he got suddenly entangled, Peary decided to go help him out. Unfortunately, he also got distressed and couldn't climb back up. At first, their friends on the surface were able to communicate with them, but as the time passed, their voices started to fade away. After rescue officers arrived on the scene, they found both Lockenbach and Peary unresponsive, while still hanging from the rope. Their remains were recovered and the cause of death was ruled as hypothermia. Number 5. Glowing cave walls. The Waitomo Cave in New Zealand is famous for many things: deep caverns, rough terrains, and a glowing section that attract thousands of explorers every year. The first time the Waitomo Cave system was explored was in 1887. As the story goes, Tane Tinarau, a local chief of the Kauai tribe, led an attack on a neighboring tribe in that year. After securing the victory, he sent one of his hunters to look for food, and that was when he stumbled upon the cave. Another story also claims that the cave was known to the locals, but they did not explore it extensively until 1887. After finding the cave, Tane Tinarau teamed up with Fred Mace, an English surveyor, and they began exploring the inside. This was when they came upon a section of the cave with ceilings filled with stars. The entire place was lit up with sparkling blue lights, and at first, they thought it was due to some form of magic. But later, it was revealed that the lights came from glowworms, insects capable of producing light in the dark. Many explorers have traveled down the depths since then, and the cave has since become one of the most famous natural attractions in New Zealand. Number 4. The disappearance of Mustafo. In April 1971, a farmer named Mustafo Zokirovich Holmominov left his home for a 4-hour trek to a cave. He never returned. However, this tragedy would eventually result in the discovery of a hole which has been described as the deepest cave in all of Asia. This is the Boibolok Cave, 4,690 feet deep and 49,908 feet long, with a main entrance stretching for over 8,600 feet. Located at the edge of the Basin T mountain ridge in the Gisar Range, the Boibolok Cave is rooted deep in ancient history. For Mustafo, this wasn't the first time he would be visiting the cave. He'd been there several times before, but on this very day, things didn't go exactly as planned. His son, Hudojberdi, was with him on the trip, and together they traveled to the site on donkeys. Upon getting to the cave, Mustafo went in to pray. He crawled for about an hour before reaching the point close to the first shaft. This was where his kerosene lamp went out. He then turned back towards the entrance, but unfortunately, he missed the direction and fell into the abyss. For the next 2 days, Hudojberdi waited at the entrance for his father. But after Mustafa failed to come out, the villagers forced his son to return home. His body was never found, and his story has become a legend for the people of Dihibalo. Number 3. Unexplored crystal chambers. Remember the Fortress of Solitude from the Superman movie? Well, there's a real-life version in Chihuahua, Mexico. This is the Cave of Crystal, located about 1,000 feet below the Earth's surface and containing thousands of gypsum crystal beams. The tallest of these beams can grow as tall as 37 feet, and they've been existing for about 26 million years. It was in the year 2000 when miners accidentally stumbled upon the cave while drilling a side tunnel in a silver mine in Naka. According to scientists, these crystals were formed from salts dissolved in groundwater and are so soft that you can scratch them with a fingernail. Several other caves have been discovered since then, including the Cave of Swords, which is filled with dagger-like crystals, but the Cave of Crystals remains the biggest of them all, stretching for about 360 feet across. As for the origin, scientists believe that the crystals started growing millions of years ago when magma rose from the chamber. This forced mineral-rich waters to flow upward through the cracks, forming deposits that have crystallized over the past thousands of years. But while conditions in the cave are right for crystals, they are deadly for humans. Walking into the cave without protection can be extremely dangerous, as the body can quickly overheat, causing permanent damage that may lead to death. Number 2. The Secret of the Hranice Abyss. The Czech Republic is home to the Hranice Abyss, recognized as the deepest known freshwater cave in the world. Researchers believe that it could be as deep as 1 kilometer, but no one really knows for sure since no explorer has ever made it to the bottom. Back in 2016, scientists traveled to the depths of the abyss using a remote-controlled vehicle, but still, they only managed to reach 1,552 feet. To put that into perspective, that's taller than the Empire State Building, but the cave could as well be double that. In 2020, another group of researchers used a geophysical survey to determine the shape of the underwater cave. At the end of the study, they pegged the depth at around 0.6 miles. However, it's worth noting that this was only a rough estimate, and the actual depth remains unknown. So why is it so hard to study this cave? Well, for one, Hranice Abyss is extremely large, so diving inside is basically a nightmare. Then there's the fact that the waters are murky and filled with rotten leaves and trees. The air is also so dense that it's almost impossible to breathe inside the abyss. However, with the development of more advanced remote-controlled devices, we might eventually get to see what really lies underneath this bottomless pit. Number 1. The Mystery of the Dead Divers. With a name like the Devil's Kitchen, it's no surprise that the Guna Cave in India has claimed many lives over the years. Located in Kodaikanal, Tamil Nadu, the cave attracts thousands of visitors every year. But not everyone who walks inside makes it out alive. Even more disturbing is the fact that the remains of these unlucky explorers are never found. As of 2016, at least 16 adventurers have vanished without a trace inside the cave. But still, many continue to flock into the hole to experience the wonder of nature. In 1996, the nephew of India's central minister disappeared in the cave. Some said he took his own life. Others claimed he was murdered. But just like the rest of the victims, his case remains unsolved. After too many reported cases, the cave was closed to the public until it was later reopened in 2016. Thank you for watching. See you in the next one.